Hey all, and welcome to episode number 18 of the Take 10 podcast. Hope you're having a wonderful day and that you are enjoying time with your friends and family as we begin this holiday season. At the time of this recording, it is just after the Thanksgiving holiday, and we are moving quickly into the holiday season. Before we jump into tonight's topic, I just wanted to again give you all a big shout out and a big thank you for the continued support as we progress along our mental health journey and learning more about how we can help our own mental health or support somebody who is going through a challenge as well. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you joining. And it is just so the support is overwhelming, and I appreciate it, and just wanted to give you a big thank you. Tonight we are talking, if you can guess, all things mental health, but specifically mental health and the holidays. We would all agree that our mental health is absolutely critical for us to take care of. But the holidays present an interesting time of year around mental health. And specifically, the holidays are kind of sold as being the happiest of times, right? A lot of time with family, the giving season, giving thanks. And in part, there is absolutely some truth to that. But I do also believe that it's important for us to realize that the holidays can be incredibly challenging for many as well. And it's around the holidays that can prove to be incredibly stressful for a lot of individuals for a variety of different reasons. And so tonight, I want to talk more about those stressors and how we can better prioritize our mental health this holiday season. So let us jump in, and we're just going to go on a little bit of a journey here and see what we can do to help our own mental health, but maybe also how we can support somebody else who may be struggling with their mental health this holiday season. So the first thing that we are needing to do is that we're going to need to recognize what stresses us out during the holiday season. And it could be a variety of different things, So during the holidays, people will typically experience increased stress due to the following factors. Number one, it could be family dynamics. And this is really about interactions with family members that can be challenging. Maybe you have two personalities that don't quote unquote work well together, or maybe there are some tensions between friends or family for a variety of different reasons. And when this happens, it can lead to stress or a conflict. And so that going into the holiday season, knowing that there may be stress or conflict, can lead to anxiety or feelings of stress, thinking about what may happen. Number two, increased stress could come from financial strain. So when we think about gift giving and just the expenses that are associated with the holiday, it may create financial pressure for many. Three, it could cause loneliness. For some, the holidays can really intensify feelings of isolation or being alone. Number four, expectations. The holiday season can lead to stress due to expectations. And specifically, high expectations for having a perfect holiday season can lead to additional stress. There could also be grief or loss that has happened. So the holidays may amplify feelings of sadness for those that have lost loved ones, but it doesn't necessarily have to be death. There may be relationships that you've lost that remind you of the holiday, or the holidays remind you of those relationships, and so you may think about that, or you may grieve on that a little bit more as well. There are social pressures associated with the holiday season as well. So we think about events and gatherings. The holiday season can be socially demanding, which causes not only stress but anxiety as well, right? So there's a time commitment associated with that, and it's just a lot of events potentially, and so that can become overwhelming. And then the last one that I'll cover is just time constraints. The holidays have a lot going on, and unfortunately, with the holidays, our everyday life doesn't stop to accommodate for the holidays, and so there may be some additional stress as individuals balance holiday preparations with their daily responsibilities, and trying to manage all of that can really become overwhelming as well. So we've talked about, here are some of the stressors that may result during the holiday season, but let's also talk about some of the impact that stress can have on our bodies during the holidays and in general, but we're gonna focus on the holidays since we're in the holiday season, and what that impact on our overall well-being could look like. So probably not a shock to anybody out there that stress can have a variety of effects on our overall mental health, including one, anxiety. Chronic stress can contribute to heightened anxiety levels. Two, prolonged stress can be linked to an increased risk of developing depression. So depression could result from having too much stress in general on our well-being. Stress can also disrupt our sleep patterns. And when our sleep patterns are disrupted for extended periods of time, it could lead to insomnia, but also just sleep disruption leads to poor quality sleep, and sleep is a very important part of our body's reaction and ability to react to stress. So sleep quality is paramount here. Stress can also lead to cognitive difficulties. So that could be difficulty concentrating, having memory problems, and even impaired decision-making abilities as a result from stress. Stress can contribute to irritability and mood swings, as well as emotional instability. So if you're finding yourself during the holidays, or just outside of the holidays even, but you're starting to think that you're getting easily irritable, you're seeing some mood swings, as well as having some emotional instability, it could be a factor of stress. And so you may want to take a look at what is causing stress in your life and how you might be able to go about eliminating that, to see if that will help reduce some of the mood swings that you're experiencing. And then, the last two are physical. And so stress can have a physical impact on our body, and it can display in physical symptoms, including headaches, muscle tension, as well as digestive issues. And those are some of the more common manifestations of stress in our body, but it can also lead to a weakened immune system, especially when we're exposed to chronic stress. That's where we see a compromise of the immune system. So when that happens, it really makes us more susceptible to illnesses. So stress can have a big part of our overall well-being. So learning to manage that stress is going to be critical in order for us to do well moving forward. I want to do a quick jump into some stats and to some research that I came across, kind of outlining well-being during the holiday season, and not because I'm worried about trying to prove a point or anything like that, but this was something that was eye-opening to me, in just how much individuals felt additional stress during the holiday season. So some studies have recently been conducted that just show how prevalent stress is during the holidays, and some studies that have been done with those that are currently living with mental health issues during the holiday. So let's take a look at two quick studies and what they tell us. The first one was a study conducted by the American Psychological Association. And in this study, it showed that 38% of Americans said that they were more stressed during the holiday season than during time outside of the holidays. And really this this additional stress during that time can lead to, again, physical illnesses, depression, anxiety, and even substance misuse. So when people get stressed, the holidays have, like alcohol is pretty prevalent during the holidays. And so when people get stressed, they may start abusing alcohol or other, maybe drugs. And so that could lead a person down a whole nother path of engaging in activities that may not be healthy for them or their overall well-being. And so stress is just the start of that. And so if we can really identify that potentially at the root cause, then we're gonna be in a much better place. The second study that was done was completed by the National Alliance on Mental Illness, also known as NAMI, and it showed that 64% of its respondents who were living with a mental health condition noted that they felt the condition that they were living with worsened around the holidays. And so what does this mean in the big picture? It means that if you experience stress, you're not alone, but it also means that while it is a very stressful time for so many people, there are some steps that we can take in order to, I'm not going to say that we're going to eliminate all of the stress that comes our way, but we can take some steps to mitigate that stress, and to hopefully keep our overall mental well-being balanced as we move through the holiday season. So having said that, let's talk about a few steps that we can take in order to prioritize our mental health. Number one, I think it's important that we set boundaries. Establishing personal limits to prevent ourselves from getting into overwhelming situations. And we can do this by communicating any boundaries that we may have effectively with both our family and our friends. And when we're setting and communicating boundaries during this holiday season, while it's crucial for maintaining our overall mental well-being, let's talk about some tips in order for us to do that effectively, in order to help keep us balanced. First, I think we're going to need to identify the priorities that we have in our life. So what activities and events are most important to you this holiday season, and then focus on those while learning to potentially say no to less essential commitments. So let's say you're traveling for the holiday season, and let's say you're heading back home to where you grew up. You're going to spend time with family, but it's also likely that you're going to interact with people that maybe you went to school with or you grew up with. When you're heading back home in that situation, what are the must-do activities that you're going to attend while you're at home? Probably maybe an event with your family. Maybe there's a dinner or something like that involved. Physically list out the activities that you have to be at, and then be okay in saying no to other commitments that don't align with those activities, or that may encroach on some of those activities that you must attend that would cause you stress. So maybe there are back-to-back events which could lead to some stress if you're going to be able to make it to both on time, and one's critical and one's non-critical. Then maybe you prioritize that critical event and learn to be able to say no to that non or less critical event. 2, I think it's important that we are open in our communication, and specifically, clearly expressing boundaries to both friends and family. And when these boundaries are just explaining the needs that you have in order to maintain a mental well-being through the holiday season, but also any limitations that you may have as well. And I think being open and honest in your communications from the start is going to be critical for you to maintaining this balance. Number 3, plan ahead as best as you can. Look to establish a holiday schedule that accommodates the priorities that you picked out in step 1, but also plan and allow yourself for some downtime during that time as well. And then share the schedule that you have with those who need to be aware of your commitments. So if you're heading home and you know that you have a family dinner or another family activity, but you also want to attend, a get together with a close friend, communicate that to your family, and communicate to your friend what other commitments that you may have, so that all are aware of what you're obligated to when you're there. And this will help set expectations in their mind of what you are and what you are not able to do while you're there. Number 4, and this one's probably the hardest for all of us, but it's learning to say no. And this really is politely declining invitations or requests that conflict with your established boundaries, and that may encroach on your ability to effectively attend and accomplish all of the events that you want to while you're at home or wherever you're at. And it's perfectly okay in these situations to say no and to give yourself some time to have some downtime and to not have 8 scheduled events each day for a 5-day period or whatever it may be. But being okay, having some time to yourself and allowing you to recharge. Number 5, delegate tasks. The holidays are a lot, and a lot of planning goes into holiday events and meals and everything else. So look to share responsibilities with others to ease your workload. And when you do this, you're going to reduce your stress. So this can apply to holiday preparations and your hosting duties or other responsibilities. So for example, if you're cooking a meal, maybe you delegate the dessert to somebody who may be in attendance and is willing to bring a dish. Or maybe it's allowing somebody who shows up to set the table. And as the host, I know that it can feel like you need to be responsible for all of that, but that leads to feelings of being overwhelmed and feelings of stress. And by being able, or what I would say too, is that people that are in attendance want to help, and they're wanting to bring something or to help get you set up or whatever it may be. So don't be afraid to ask for that help and to delegate those tasks. I'm reminded of an episode of Seinfeld And for those that are unfamiliar with Seinfeld, it's an old comedy show. But what I find is that each episode has real world an real world analogy, I guess. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but I can apply episodes of Seinfeld into my daily life. And this episode, Jerry and Elaine and George and Kramer go to a party. And when they get to the party, the host, in a jokingly way, assigns tasks to everybody. So one person is responsible for monitoring the fish tank and making sure nobody taps on it. One person's responsible for the coats. One person's responsible for not letting Jerry become the DJ. So think about that as you are getting ready to plan your holiday events, in just being able to delegate tasks. So if it's good enough for Seinfeld, it's good enough for us. And then lastly, number 6, I would say that it's important for us to take breaks. And not only that we take breaks, but we give ourselves permission to take breaks when we're needed, when they're needed. Stepping away from festivities for a few moments of solitude can really help recharge your mental energy. And so I would say that it's also okay to plan these breaks into your day as well. We just had Thanksgiving dinner, and I was at the table. It was quite warm inside. There were a few people there, and the dialogue and the conversation was getting heated, as it does sometimes at holiday meals. And I was starting to feel like I was getting to a, not a breaking point, but a breaking point. And so I used the warmth of the room as an excuse to go outside. And it was cold and raining, and it was beautiful. And I just sat on a chair and kind of looked out into the distance for a few minutes. And those few minutes that I took kind of staring off really helped me recharge, and to kind of step back from that ledge, and allow myself to be prepared to go back in. I was able to go back inside, and I didn't feel like I was even near that breaking point. And it was just a few minute break. So give yourself permission to take breaks. Don't be afraid to say that you need a moment and to step away and detach and recharge a little bit. As we go through the holiday season, I hope you remember that setting boundaries is a healthy and proactive way for us to manage stress during the holiday season, and not just during the holiday season, but I think it's especially important during the holiday season. All right, so we're talking about the steps that we can take to prioritize our mental health. We've first talked about setting boundaries. Now let's talk a little bit about some self-care practices that we can incorporate to remain balanced. The first thing that I'm going to talk about as we talk about self-care is incorporating regular exercise into the holiday routine. And kind of my main point that I keep coming back to as we talk about exercise is that I don't want anybody out there thinking that their exercise has to be climbing a mountain, running a marathon, or, biking 120 miles in order for you to feel like you're having a good workout or you're, physically engaging. It could literally be just simply walking around the neighborhood, finding some trees to walk through, or doing some yoga. But exercise in general has several positive effects on our body and our mind. And when that happens, it contributes to stress reduction in the following ways. So first, it releases endorphins. Physical activity triggers the release of endorphins, which are often referred to as feel-good hormones. And these chemicals really act as a natural painkiller and mood elevator. So they really promote a sense of well-being. Exercise helps regulate cortisol, which is a stress hormone. And while cortisol is essential for our body's fight or flight response, when we see chronic elevation of cortisol, it can contribute to stress. So engaging in exercise helps maintain healthy cortisol levels, which help with our stress. Physical activity can really enhance the quality of sleep that we get. And we talked about this a little bit earlier, that sleep is critical for our body to manage stress. So a well-rested body and mind are better equipped to cope with daily challenges as we get good sleep. Engaging in exercise also provides for a healthy distraction from our stressors. So it allows us to get away from what's causing us stress, and focusing on the activity at hand can temporarily shift your attention away from that stress. But physical activity can also induce a sense of relaxation as well. So keep that in mind. And then last, regular exercise contributes to an increase in our energy levels and stamina. And this can improve our overall resilience to stress. So we're better able to manage the stress when it comes our way as we exercise. But it also allows us to enhance our ability to cope with daily demands. So think about incorporating exercise into our daily holiday routine for those 5 benefits. Second, we can also think about incorporating some self-care, mindfulness practices or relaxation techniques into our daily routine. And when you hear, or when I hear of mindfulness and relaxation techniques, I'm like, to be honest, I don't really know what some of that is, but it's honestly things that we do on a daily basis. We just may not fully recognize it. And it's also some things that we've done on this podcast. So first, deep breathing. Take a few moments to focus on your breath. Inhaling deeply, holding our breath briefly, and exhaling slowly. That is a breathing technique that we have done an exercise on this podcast of. My favorite breathing technique, though, would be just a simple inhale for 4 seconds, exhale for 4 seconds, and that's 1 round. And I complete between 4 and 8 rounds. And if you do that for 30 seconds to a minute, you're going to find that you're recentering your body, and that you're becoming more relaxed. And obviously, you can repeat it for longer, but that's the easiest and most simple breathing technique that I practice, that I have found provides a lot of benefit in my life. The second mindfulness activity that we could incorporate into our holiday routine is mindful eating. And this isn't what you think of when you think of mindful eating. Yes, be mindful of what you're putting into your body, because we do know that a good diet does help with our overall mental health. But this mindful eating is really talking about paying attention to the flavors, the textures, and the smells of your food. Especially as we're going through the holiday season, there are a lot of events driven by food. So eat slowly and savor each bite, but be fully present during these meals, and pay attention to those things, and that will help with your mindfulness. Third, we could keep a gratitude journal and jot down a few things that you're thankful for each day. As you do this will shift your focus to positive aspects of your life. And when you know that you're going to be updating a journal of things that you're grateful for, you start seeing more and more of the things in the world that you are grateful for, and the things that you enjoy, and your outlook on life begins to change. So keep a gratitude journal. The fourth is something called a body scan meditation. And this isn't something that, you have to be in a completely dark and quiet room to do, but it might be spending a few minutes paying attention to each part of your body. And really you're starting from your toes, working your way up to the top of your head. And what you're doing during this practice is that you're really looking for or trying to notice any tension that you're seeing in your body, and then consciously working to release it. So as you think about your feet up to your legs and your thighs, are you noticing any stress in those areas? And then imagining the stress being released from those areas. And you're going to do that for a whole body scan, and this will help really ground you, and is a great mindfulness technique. Fifth, we could take a walk in nature. Taking a short walk outside and immersing yourself in nature is incredibly beneficial, and it's a great way to kind of remove yourself from stress and to allow yourself to kind of recenter. As you take a walk in nature, pay attention to the sights and sounds and sensations around you, and just start noticing what's going on. Number 6 is something that I've tried to be a little bit better at, but I'll obviously have some room for improvement, and this is a technology detox. So especially, I think this is going to be something that's incredibly beneficial throughout the year, but specifically during the holidays. But designate some time, some specific time that you disconnect from your electronic devices, and then use that time to engage in activities without distractions. Again, this is time spent with loved ones most of the time, and so being present for those moments and paying attention to the memories that you're making is going to be absolutely critical. As we engage in all of these mindfulness practices, they're going to help you stay present. They're going to help reduce stress in your life, and then it will, as you do that, it's going to enhance your overall well-being this holiday season. So we've talked a little bit about some self-care practices to help keep us in balance. The first being exercise, the second being mindfulness and relaxation techniques, and then the third self-care practice that we can incorporate this holiday season is prioritizing sufficient sleep. As we talked about, sleep really does help with our overall well-being. It helps our body manage stress and to meet the challenges of everyday life. And so it's important for us to get adequate sleep. I'm not going to do too deep of a dive into this one. This may be better suited for another episode, but while sleep is critical, not everyone is the same. And so a blanket statement that Sally needs 8 hours and Timmy needs 8 hours is not necessarily always accurate. I don't think that people, let me rephrase, I don't know of many people that need, less than 5 hours of sleep, and that they are able to function consistently. But there are people that can get less amount of sleep than others and still be able to function. So this is really something that you're going to have to pay attention to your body for in determining what is the adequate amount of sleep that you're going to need in order to function. Maybe it is 6 hours, and maybe you're able to get that, but it's also okay if you need 8 or 10 hours of sleep as well. Just know what your body needs and then plan adequately for that, especially during the holiday season, in order to get some of that sleep. The good thing about the holidays is that hopefully that it will allow some additional time for you to do additional things, right? So maybe you have some time off from work, or maybe your work schedule fluctuates during this time and you just naturally have a little bit more time off during the day. That means that you could spend some additional time taking naps or getting extra sleep. And so make sure that as you're planning out and prioritizing your holiday schedule, that you're giving yourself enough time to sleep. The third thing so we've talked about self-care, but let's talk a little bit more about the next step that we can take to prioritize our overall well-being, and that is alone time. Just making sure that you're allocating moments of solitude, especially as we are spending so much time with and in social gatherings during the holiday season. Being able to provide opportunities for you to self-reflect and to relax during the holidays is absolutely critical. And whether you believe that or not is one thing, but it actually is. And so if you can provide opportunity for yourself to unwind and to relax, and to just self-reflect at some point during the day, you're going to find that your overall well-being remains in a better state. So make sure that you are giving that to yourself. The fourth thing that we can do to prioritize well-being during the holiday season is setting realistic expectations. And this is really trying to foster a realistic perspective on the holiday season to avoid undue stress, right? And this could include adjusting expectations about family interactions, or even holiday experiences. And as you do that, it can contribute to a more positive and manageable experience. And so let me explain a little bit more about each of those. The first being, understand that no family and no holiday is going to be perfect. Embrace the imperfections and accept that things might not go exactly as planned. So you may come home and you're hoping for just merry, everybody being merry and positive, and there are going to be no arguments, or that every aspect of every part of the holiday events that you attend are just going to go flawlessly. But understand that that's not going to be the case. And not only is that not going to be the case, it's okay that it isn't. Number 2, shift your focus from perfection to meaningful connections. Appreciate the time that you spend with loved ones rather than fixating on flawless events. 3, we've talked about this previously, but discuss expectations with family members openly and honestly. And as you do this, ensure that everyone is on the same page regarding the plans and the traditions that you're going to undertake this holiday season. Number 4, establish achievable goals for the holidays. And this could be as a family. This could also be for you as an individual. But break down tasks into smaller, more manageable steps. And as you do this, you're going to reduce stress in your life. For me, I wouldn't say that I'm a procrastinator in general, but I am a procrastinator when it comes to gift giving. And I wait until the last minute. And each year I promise myself that I'm not going to be that way the next year, but ultimately I am. This year is different, but if I can break down those tasks into smaller, more manageable steps, so rather than waiting until the last possible minute, if I start shopping in November or early December and I get the gifts, then I have time to wrap them, and then I have time to ship them, rather than noticing on the website for UPS or USPS that the last day in order for the gift to get to your destination by Christmas is Thursday, and it's Tuesday and I haven't done anything. That's going to cause me some more stress. But if I have planned and I've been shopping for the prior 4, 5, 6 weeks and the gifts are wrapped, I just need to drop them off at a USPS or UPS location, my stress levels are absolutely going to be reduced. So break down tasks into smaller, more manageable steps. Number 5, And this one's so hard, but it's so good. And it's embracing flexibility and adaptability during the holidays and in life, but let's concentrate on the holidays for now. Things may not, and they're actually not going to go according to plan. But if you can be open to change, and if you can be flexible and adaptable and go for the ride, if you will, it's going to ease tension in your life. It's going to reduce stress. For me, it's thinking about the bigger picture. It's like, yeah, this activity is not going exactly as planned, but I have an opportunity to spend time with my family, to make these memories, and that's really what's important. And once I take that outlook, it doesn't matter what happens during the event, because ultimately I'm making memories. Now, some of those memories we can reflect back on in a year or 5 years or 10 years and say, hey, remember how awful that event was? And then we have a laugh about it. But be flexible. Number 6, we talked about this one already, but allocate time to yourself. Allocate time for self-care and for your body to recharge. As we take care of our well-being, and it really allows us to approach family interactions with a more positive mindset. So make sure you're taking care of yourself, and as you do that, it'll allow you to have better family interactions as well. Number 7, the holidays can be tough, but if old traditions are causing you stress, consider creating new ones that align with your current circumstances and preferences. And if you're going to create new traditions, be open and communicate that, and communicate why. You may be exploring that to others so they have an understanding of where you're coming from. Number 8, learn to let go. This one is so hard, but release your need and our need for perfection and control this holiday season, and recognize that some things are beyond our influence, and that's okay. One of the sayings that I hear at work more than not is control what you can control, and then we can't control what we can't control. And so identify those things that are outside of your control, and if you don't have any impact over whether or not you can control it, then just let it go. As we adjust our expectations, and we work to adopt a flexible mindset, I think we're going to be able to navigate family interactions, or even interactions with friends and acquaintances this holiday with greater ease and enjoyment. So I know that it's easier said than done, but if we can just practice this, you are going to experience some benefit from it. So with that, let's wrap this thing up. Mental health is critical, and mental health during the holidays can be paramount. As you look to your upcoming holiday season, to ensure that you have a fantastic holiday season, keep the following in mind. Recognize what your stressors are. When do you generally experience them, or when are you exposed to them? And recognize when and how they may come up so that you can proactively engage in some techniques to help reduce some of those stresses. Know that the holidays are going to be tough, or they have the potential to be tough, but they're not only going to have the potential to be tough for you, they're going to have potential to be tough on everyone. And so everybody that you come in contact with this holiday season is experiencing something similar. Look to prioritize your mental health, and prioritizing your mental health can be done by completing the following. Set boundaries as you go into the holiday season. Make sure that you're taking time and steps to practice self-care. Know that it's okay for you to take some alone time during the day and throughout the holiday season. And then lastly, ensure that you are setting realistic expectations for yourself this holiday season and what that looks like. The holidays are such a wonderful time, but they are also incredibly challenging at times as well. And whether you are going home for the holidays or you're spending time wherever you're currently at, or you're having people come in, know that you're not alone in the feelings that you have of being stressed, or that others aren't going through something similar. And that's not to say that what you're going through is not as significant as somebody else, but it's said because when we're with others who are going through things that are similar, not to compare, but as we understand that others are experiencing things that are similar, we can create bonds with those individuals, and we can help each other through challenging situations. And the holidays are wonderful, and it's about being together, and it's about helping others. And while a lot of the focus and the emphasis on the holidays is about giving, I think that it's incredibly important for us to remember that the best thing that we can give to each other is hope and love, and deeds of good. And so as you go about your holiday season, I hope that you continue the choice to do and to be and to inspire the good that is this world with others. And as we do that, we're going to find that our own personal world is better, and that the world of those that we come in contact with are going to become better as well. And over time, we'll continue to see the positive change in the community and the world that we live in. And it doesn't happen without individuals like you. I appreciate the good that you do in the world, and would encourage you to continue to do that this holiday season and beyond. I hope you have a wonderful evening. That's it for this episode. We will see you next time. Good night. Goodbye.